What is going on, everyone out there? I am Devontae Jennings, chairman of the Young Democrats of Georgia Black Caucus, and thank you for joining us for yet another podcast interview where we interview and talk to elected officials and community organizers all across the state of Georgia. And today is a very, I know I keep saying it, very special, but we do special guests. That's what we do. Today we have a brother inspiring change through fatherhood, strategy, and storytelling. Without any further delay, I would like to introduce to you Dante Carter.
What's up? What's up? What's up, man? Y'all gotta stop, man. Y'all be making me blush coming here. All this, y'all make it bigger than what it is, you
See,
know.
if I wasn't afraid to get a copyright strike, I would have had to, hey, Mr. Carter. You feel me? Man, thank
That's
you
my
for
jam,
joining
man.
us. Thank you. I've actually really been waiting for this, especially after the launch of some things that we're about to jump into. Before all of that, can you just give everybody, in a nutshell, a quick overview or who you are, what you do, and why you do it?
Man, honestly, I think this journey started for me when I was working in the Fulton County DA's office. I was the youngest person to be hired to lead up their PR department, and it started with four young men that were accused of murder in between the ages of 14 and 16. And I just remember hearing about the trial, and I'm getting media blowing me up, asking me what happened. And the victim's mother took the stand and said that y'all got, my son came to me in my dreams and said that y'all got the wrong people. And it wasn't until that moment that they even checked to see where the young men's cell phones were pinging from. And one of the experts said something along the lines of, these boys would have had to have been flashed to zoom over there, kill this guy, and leave. And the victim was a white middle aged man. And whenever it's something along racial lines, things get out of hand and get crazy. And it was just bananas because there were so many things in this case that were overlooked. The fact that he was dating one of his his exes who had a new man, just one of these heated things. And so when I saw that, man, it did something to me, right? And I wasn't the same. And went from there to opening up my own PR shop because I wanted, in my heart, man, I wanted to be able to help attorneys to contextualize these stories, right? And I think the media just kind of paints a broad brush over so many of these cases, and it bothered me. And so um, when Attorney Griggs approached me about helping him and the families of the victims in the R. Kelly case, that was something that I really looked into, and I leaned on my wife heavily to help me with that context as it pertains to Black women and exposing these cases the way they need to. And I still remember that day when I was called to, and they sent me over the information about the case, and just telling my wife, I didn't know what to charge for it. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And what I remember most in that moment was her silence. And I was like, babe, you good? You good? Like, what's going on? And she said, at some point, um, women, especially Black women, we need our husbands, our fathers, our brothers to really act as though they know that there's a problem. And so, it was something that really impacted me. And her going on to saying, you being the father of a young Black girl that could have easily been your daughter, and I need you to really take this case and run with it as though it was. And so that was something that hit me. But what's crazy is, as I started to really fight to learn about the issues that my wife and my daughter were facing, because I learned that there was so much I didn't know, it helped me to see myself in a way that I had never seen myself. Because as much as I saw how much Black women weren't protected, I also saw how much Black men weren't protected. And so uh, by the time I got the call about helping out in the Ahmaud Arbery case, in my mind it was go time. It was, no, we're not going to allow these things to happen anymore. And so that's why you're going to see so many of these so many of these pictures behind me, because these are the things that inspire me, that motivate me. There's running joke and a running criticism that I make things too black. But I mean, the reality is I am who I am. I can't change that. Can the leopard change his spots? No. I'm a black man. When I look at the stats, black people at the bottom of every category. And so when we talk about fixing issues, when we talk about true change, let's start at the bottom and work our way up.
I love that. And what you speaking on the PR thing, I did a little digging and you made a statement that said black PR is how we advocate for ourselves in the media. What is
Yeah,
the importance of black people in PR to you?
man, black people have always been our own storytellers, and I think people miss that sometimes. We have always been we've always been the ones who've told our stories, and I mean, even to the beginning of time, like none of these things have ever happened in a silo. The civil rights movement was a huge PR campaign. The abolitionist movement was a huge PR campaign, and there were black leaders involved. And so, when it comes to really dealing with our issues, when it comes to contextualizing what we're through, I think people miss the fact that before they weaponize the law against us, they have to create a narrative, right? Black men are big, they're scary, they're going to rob you, they're going to rape you. They create these narratives so that they can write laws to enforce them. And so for me, I've become just very passionate about saying, no, that's not the narrative that y'all gonna paint over all of us. I'm a loving father. I'm a respected husband. I don't cheat on my wife. I come home every night. Like y'all not gonna paint all these other crazy. You're not gonna paint y'all fears on me because you know what I'm saying. I don't care what you're scared of. I care about who I am and what I represent to my community, to my wife, to my daughter. And so for me, PR is my life. It's how I live my life. It's the tone that I set when I walk in a room. And for black people, we are right now, and not just right now, but we're fighting to reclaim ourselves. And you can see it, man, in everything that's going on behind the businesses we support, the way we vote, the way we don't vote. It's all
Mhm.
speaking volumes right now. And if this country can't see that there's a change happening, I don't know what to tell you.
And you made a couple points that drove me back to a book that you told me to read called
Yes.
Brainwashed.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a conversation for another day. But I know exactly what you mean when you say that and where
Yeah.
you're coming from with that. To bounce around a little bit, I want to go into this new book that's out. This book was launched by you and your daughter, and it's called My Daddy and Me. Can we get a little, not even a little, go ahead and go crazy with the what is it, what inspired it, and why?
Man, it's so much, man. I think this book has been in my head for a long time, honestly. And I just didn't know how to tell this story. And I was listening to my daughter talking to my nieces about how she sees me. And it broke my heart, man, because the way she was describing me, oftentimes I don't even look at myself in that manner. And I was a hero in her eyes, right? And I think because of the life that I live, where I come from, so often it's hard to draw from that confidence as a man that I should have. And when I heard her talking about these things, it impacted me so much. And this book started with me just writing about our conversations and thinking about the things that she would say. And I was just like, I wanted I wanted black men specifically to really see this and see it out there because what I've seen in Georgia has been a black families movement, and black men are a part of that family structure. And I wanted it to be, I wanted that to be seen, to be heard, to be felt. And that's one of the things. It's been bananas, man. Just the response, it's been overwhelming. I mean, from social media, I mean, just across the board, just the feedback of people just talking about how much so much of this is needed. Only 12% of the authors in America are black. 12%. And I think some studies even show it's less than that. So I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt here. Um, and we talking about children's books, man. less than
Mhm.
12. We're more than 14% of the population here. We don't even match that. You know what I'm saying? And so when we talk about overcoming that narrative, for me, that's what it was about. I still feel like there's so much that I need to say and need to talk about. But honestly, if we don't influence that next generation, um, what are we doing? You know, I'm sitting on the PTO board at my daughter's school. I'm on the school governance council. I sit on the superintendent's teacher parent advisory committee, and I think that I keep hearing folks talk about literacy, literacy, literacy. Well, I know for me, I didn't like. I'm ashamed to say this. I didn't start reading until I became a man, and it wasn't that I didn't love reading, and I take that back. It wasn't just when I became a man. It's like so before all that money got thrown at Ben Carson, I met Ben Carson like right when he wrote his book the first time. I got a chance. My mother brought me to see him. For me, this was eye opening because I'm a kid that's coming from the bottom. I'm living in the hood, and I see this guy. He's speaking eloquently. He's talking about coming from where I came from. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? And I see his book, and he signed his book for me, right? And so I think my mom did a great job of opportunities that she could take to expose me, being able to do that. And for
Mhm.
me, this book was an extension of that. It was, I know, and I know from talking to these young men, because I also helped to mentor at my daughter's school, that when they see themselves in the books, when they see themselves on TV, when they see themselves on podcasts, it does change the way that they see themselves. When we started mentoring, all they talked about was basketball, LeBron. Man, I done brought so many black men from so many different professions in that I've blown their mind. They're in professions that they didn't realize black men were in, and to me, that's what I'm passionate about is ensuring that this next generation going forward are armed with the tools that they need to be successful.
With that being said, what would you tell hypothetically a 16, 17, 18-year-old black male who only sees their way out of either being an athlete or a musician, which is what a lot of they characterize us. That's the only way out. What would you say to them? Could you give us a example of where what you would say or what you've said?
I love you and I believe in you. Those would be the two words that I first start. I had a chance, man, to sit down with a black man who is where I one day aspire to be with my company. Um, Seeing how he raised his family, and I just had a chance to just listen to him talk. And he said, "Man, they keep telling us that just men need to be respected." He said, "But man, we need love too, and we need to know that we are loved by the older men in our lives as well." And he said, "My father and my grandfather ensured that I had that." And so, I like to start these conversations with, "I love you and I believe in you." Right? Let's start there. And then let's talk about what your dreams are. Let's talk about what your visions are, what your goals are, because a lot of times kids just want to be what they see on TV. I
Mhm.
remember growing up, man. If Eddie Murphy was doing Nutty Professor, I wanted to be a scientist. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever role these guys were in is what I wanted to do. But that's why exposure is so key, because if all we see is dudes rapping, dudes playing sports, dudes entertaining, like if that's all we see, then what we see is what we're going to want to be, and that's just the reality of it. And so, excuse me, it's going to take us being intentional with what we show our young men, because like one of the things that I did not give the men in my life credit for. I was so mad at the fact that my dad was not there for me growing up, that I voided out all the men who were in my life making an impact. One of my best friend's dad, Mr. Robinson, him coming, like I was a mile away from the school. I could have walked home from school. He was like, "Nah, hop in the car. Let me take you home." He's talking to me about college. Hey, I went to FAM. I met my wife at FAM. The HBCUs. Black women out there different. You know what I'm saying? I remember these conversations. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so like, we're having a whole different conversation. So now we talking about fatherhood. We talking about college. We talking about the importance of a good job. And it's like my whole frame of reference is changed. And so um, I really, because what I'm starting to realize looking back on my life is that no opportunity to mentor a a young man is a small one because they pick up so much from so many different places. And so, as I get older, that's one of the things that, I find myself wanting to do is pay tribute to the men that were in my life that ensured that I got here. My stepfather says it a lot, man. He was like, he's like, you got to give your mom some credit. He said, where y'all come from, you should either been dead or in jail. And my mother deserves a ton of credit, but I also know she didn't do it alone. And so I want to be able to give the flowers to all of them, and the coaches in my life, the pastors, the mentors, even some of the business owners that really showed me that, man, we got black business owners out here who are running their own shop. Just being able to see that in and of itself, being able to work along some of politicians who've created their own legacies. It really changed my frame of reference, and that's what I'm hoping to pass down.
Side note, congratulations on your new position with the NAACP.
I appreciate it. They working your boy, but it's good. It's good.
As they should, because you're going to do great things with this mindset and everything. But when people tell their stories, we always hear the good parts. What are some struggles on your way to where you are now?
Yeah,
Have you faced,
what was that last part you said?
that you faced, some struggles that you faced on your way to where you are now?
Man, I faced a lot, man. I struggle with being confident. Um, and I mean, I think when a young man loses his confidence, it impacts everything, everything. And so I struggle with that. I struggle with believing that I was smart enough. Like I went to some schools. My mother was always conscious about what we were learning. That I think she put me in some environments that I wasn't ready to be in. In terms of the ratio of what the kids look like. Because I felt like I went in there and they were like, well, you don't sound black, and I took that as okay, well, I need to sound more black, or I need to do this. And so I think that in America, black people in every generation, you'll see that we are fighting for our identity. We were dropped off here in slave ships. There are no countries that have claimed us. We don't know where we're from. Nobody's fault to say those are our people. You know what I'm saying? We got to go. None of this, and so we claim a whole continent. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't think that helps us because we don't know the culture that we're tied into, and so we spend our lives trying to find these things, and we're doing that in another culture that tells us that we're nothing, that we're never going to be anything, and then we wonder why 70% of our community is still in poverty or under poverty. You know what I'm saying? Like those of us who've made it out, we're such a small number. In 2024, we are still a small fragment of our population. And to me, that's the part that kind of hurts the most. And, I was sharing with you that gentleman, and, man, this guy's acquired great wealth. And one of the things that he shared with me is, man, when you get to where I am and you can sit up top and look at your community, that's one of the things that breaks your heart. And, he was like, one of the reasons why I wanted to sit down with you is really hoping to not just pass on some of the wisdom I've learned, but, just as a reminder of, man, don't forget about where you come from. Matter of fact, make sure you're giving back. And it's crazy because I was already doing that. And all it did was reaffirm what God had already showed me in terms of the work that I needed to do.
Dope. Dope. One quick plug for your book that's out right now. Go to www.mydaddyandmebook.com. The book is launched out right now. Support Black authors, support young Black authors, and make sure you shop some of the merchandise too. You know what I mean? I seen some backpacks on there. I seen some
You done went to the website.
hey man, you said the website. I had to look it through. So please make sure you support everything that you heard. And the biggest way to support this is staying engaged with them on Instagram, but also show some love. www.mydaddyandmebook.com. Show some
I
love for it.
appreciate the plug, man.
No problem. Back to it. If you could go back to your early 20s, what is one thing you would change?
Man, I used to be able to say, man, there would be a whole long list of things I would change. Whole long list, but I don't think there's anything I would change. I think everything that I went through, I need to go through to become the man that I am today. I don't know if I told you, but when I was in college, I had an opportunity early on to start working at a TV station. I think it was at the end of what was classified as my sophomore year. I messed around and goofed around
Mhm.
my first two
I feel
years,
you. I feel you.
but I was able to get in, and I started working a 4 a.m. shift as a video editor at the local TV station, WCTV, and I was doing that for 6 months and got a promotion as one of the producers. But by the time I graduated, I was the executive producer running the entire morning show. And I was coming out of college with a ton of experience in this field. Had an opportunity to switch over to being a reporter, and for me, it why I say I wouldn't change anything, because while I was working overnight, going to school during the day, my grades are suffering. I'm thinking of all these things of, man, I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have graduated on time. All these things that in the grand scheme of life don't matter. Nobody ever asks you, did you graduate on time? They don't ask you, oh, well, why were you a semester late or a year late from graduating? Nobody ever asks those questions, right? But there was a lot that I had to go through to understand myself, and there was a journey that I had to go on in terms of this search of being a man. There was a spiritual journey that I needed to go on, and so while it was difficult, while it was frustrating, it helped me to be able to truly stand, as the young folks say, 10 toes down, um, with where I am, because without those challenges, there is no foundation for me. And so I just think when I kind of look back, nah, I don't. I need to go through everything I need to go through.
I love that, and I love the fact that you touched on the situation with school and all that, because I feel like especially at a young age, people put so much of a pressure on themselves, like, you know, I gotta get out, I gotta be, the first one out in 3 years. And then, like you said, when you really think about it, when you get out, like no one asks, like, did you graduate on time? Did you finish? Like, they barely ask what you graduated in.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, it's college, and then it's the real world, and so we got all these kids coming out of school with all these high student loans, and it's like we're already coming from poor neighborhoods. We're already coming from underrepresented environments, and so you factor all that in, right? And you got some folks. I mean, I know a guy that his first year at Morehouse, he accumulated $80,000 worth of student loan debt. That's just 1 year, and it's like, man, like, what all do you expect this brother to do when he gets out? You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but it's like, y'all, like, he's he's now not in a physical slavery, but he's in a financial one. So when things get tight for him, what happens? And I think that's the thing that we forget about. We talk about gas spiking, rent going up, and we don't even talk about the average family. The average black man in America is making $42,000 a year. 42. Average man in America is making $50,000 a year. So when we talk about, you know, um, these rent rates shooting up, when we talk about home values, when we talk about housing affordability, like, man, that puts a real crunch on folks. And so I just think that we got to be real about these things. And I think that even in the political space, the more honest, real, and authentic that they are about what our citizens and residents are facing, I think the better turnout they'll have, right? But I
Mhm.
think people want to tap dance around these issues instead of saying, hey, let's come up with a plan, let's make a difference. Because at the end of the day, if people don't feel taken care of, they're not going to care about they're not going to care about politics. And I mean, this is what breathes life into revolutions and different things. But I don't think people are looking at the full picture and looking at the historical context.
Hit everything straight on the boom, like that. And again, shop the book right now. Everything iDaddyandMeBook.com. But also make sure you support Dante at DanteCarter.com. You can see it strolling here at the bottom. Please keep up with them, follow them. Before we wrap up this, though, we there's a new segment that I had a brainstorm idea with. I brought it to the board. I said, I think this would make things a little fun. We're gonna do a rapid five. So
Rapid
that's
fire.
where rapid five. I'm gonna spit one 5 questions at you.
Dante, 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 Dante.
Man, we got too many young viewers for that. They don't understand, man. They don't understand. Man. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Basketball or football?
Football.
One thing on your bucket list.
Man, I want to go to South Africa.
Flats or drums?
Dang. We do flats.
Favorite color?
Blue and black. It's a
Last book read.
it was I got two, but I'm not gonna tell you what they are. But I am reading another one. Part of the spiritual growth is what do you do when Christians are hurt by other Christians? So I can't tell everybody what I'm reading to.
Yeah.
I'm done reading. Everybody.
No, trust me. After the one book, I said, "Oh, he on this type of time? Like, there's a
man.
knowledge based stuff."
Yeah, man. So yeah,
I love it.
I got a lot that I'm reading, but I need you to clip this part, right? Clip it, and I need you to run this as a commercial.
Okay.
Y'all support my man's Devontae. The brother's doing some important work down at the Capitol. I appreciate just seeing his growth, seeing his initiative, and opening up and creating a platform like this that is about our issues, that is about how to tackle them from different perspectives. It's important. And I don't think people realize enough how important it is, especially when you get young leaders like himself to step up. Like, this is what we need. He's a father, he's a family man. Like, this right here is the foundation of a leader. And so I need y'all to keep tuning into this podcast, keep supporting. You got a Cash App you need to put up. We can put the $.
It's coming soon, man. It's coming.
It's coming soon. Y'all donate. Y'all donate to the young Dems of Georgia Black Caucus. Yeah, do all that stuff. Support. We got to support one another. When you see folks who are stepping up to lead, when they got a message that you believe in, I believe in this, brother. When you got a message that they believe in, you got to show it with the support that you provide them. So I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the words.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get that book one more time. MyDaddyAndMeBook.com. I'm going to say it again. People looking for books to give to their kids, give to your niece, your nephew. You don't know what to give them. Give them www.MyDaddyAndMeBook.com. They have swag. The book is out. And contact Dante. Reach out to him at Dante@cartermedia.net. Any bookings, anytime you want to get him on the podcast or you just want to connect with the brother, please link up with him ASAP. And Dante, I want to appreciate you so much for joining us, and also to keep us in tune if y'all got a mayoral election coming up too up there.
Oh man, I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man. To all y'all for tuning in. Till next time.